Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. My name is Andrew, coming to you from the beautiful Carolinas. Today's topic is going to be when the narcissist admits defeat. Think about that for a minute. Everyone, if you like the content, please like, subscribe, and share. So the narcissist, they will admit defeat over and over and over again once you are the one that got away. Once you're out of that relationship and you close the door and you batten the hatches on them and anybody from that period of time who didn't serve you. You see, the narcissist knew who they were, they knew what they were doing, and they knew they were manipulating you. They knew that they were playing on your heartstrings, and they knew they were taking advantage of you, tricking and trapping you, and abusing you more and more, day in, day out, week after week, etc. After that relationship ended, no matter how it ended, if you removed yourself or if you were discarded, either way my heart goes out to you. But when you healed and you found those needles in the haystack and you realized that, hey, you were in a toxic narcissistic relationship and that was detrimental to your health, and I'm being very polite there. This is the relationship that A, not only do you have to heal from, B, it almost took you down for the count, but C, it changed you forever. And once you realize that and you put the definitions and the terms in the glossary on the narcissistic abusive cycle in your mind, in other words, you understand what gaslighting is, what triangulation is, etc., and you couple those with your real life experience, this equals wisdom. This is a newfound wisdom. It's a newfound superpower that you've acquired. It's something you didn't ask to acquire, but yet you have it. It's something you wished you didn't have to go through, but yet you did. And it was a relationship that spun you on that roller coaster of emotions. It took you really high and it dropped you really low. So when you process all of these things post-relationship and eventually go no contact, etc., that's when your serenity appears. That's when your calmness appears. That's when you're no longer being gaslit. You're not walking on eggshells. You're not ruminating. And that's when you can look back and say, oh my goodness, I can't believe I made it that long in that relationship. Not only did I survive in that relationship for that period of time, but I was still working a 9-to-5 job. I was still maintaining friendships to a degree. I was still paying bills. I was functioning. When you realize that, then you wrap your head around, holy cow, I did so much and more for that person, for that relationship. And what were they doing the whole time? They were trying to destroy not only me, but the relationship, because they were trying to break that relationship over and over and over again. That is what I call micro discards. Throughout that relationship, you had many times you were not being paid attention to, many times you were triangulated, many times you were being ghosted or given the silent treatment or gaslit or stonewalled or being given word salad, etc. Those are all partial little mini discards. And exactly what happens is over the body of that relationship, you experience probably 10, 20, hundreds or thousands of mini discards, and then ultimately the weight of that relationship that had fallen upon your shoulders, it fell to the ground. It ended with a thud, a crash, and a bang, and you were the person who had to pick yourself back up by the bootstraps and dust yourself off. The narcissist simply slithered the way onto a new source of supply, or multiple sources, but you had to heal. You had to heal childhood wounds. You had to meditate, to journal, to watch videos, to read, to see a therapist. You had to really stay in that cocoon of boundaries and insulate and protect yourself. While you were doing that, the narcissist was simply traveling wherever they were, looking for recycled sources of supply, or looking for your replacement, or looking for another new shiny object, or whatever they were doing. They're trying to get someone else's energy, but it wasn't yours any longer. When you wrap your head around that and you close the chapter on the book of the narcissist, and you no longer have anything to do with those people from that period of time, specifically the narcissist and anyone who is one step away from them, that's when you begin to really elevate. You begin to ascend. That's when doors of abundance will open up for you. Doors of possibility will be kicked wide open, and doors of opportunity will be presented to you. However, this will take time. It will take a lot of time, but in your time, you will heal if you utilize the tools that are provided for you on the channel and with the wisdom that's in the community with people dropping comments. Now, having said all those things, when the narcissist admits defeat, they will not, and I mean not, ever introspect. They won't be accountable, and they're not going to write you a 3-page report or send you an email saying, I admit it, I was wrong, I was defeated, I can't believe what I did. No, that's never going to happen. Their version of defeat is realizing, and please understand this part of the video, it's pivotal, when they realize that they can't get to you any longer. You see, you are unhooverable. You've maintained something that most people couldn't do, which is your boundaries. You've maintained no contact. You've ascended or elevated higher than the sun, the moon, and the stars. And when you've done this, this is because you, and I mean you, not me, not anyone else, you've done the hard work. You've had the sleepless nights. You've had to journal. You've had times when you couldn't eat, or you were overeating, when you couldn't turn a light switch on, when you didn't want to get out of bed, when this world was spinning around and you were ruminating, when you couldn't figure out what had happened to you. Well, that is the fallout. That's the debris. That's the rubble of the narcissistic relationship that you had to sift through until you finally cracked the code and you found the needle in the haystack. And then you put 2 and 2 together, and then you slowly revealed yourself to yourself, which means you are way stronger than you gave yourself credit for. And right now, if you made it this far in the video, you're stronger than you even know to this point. Keep moving forward, keep staying in that tunnel and see the light at the end of the tunnel. Eventually, you will reach the pinnacle of indifference. But until you reach there, you need to continue to be patient and kind and stoic and resourceful and resilient and focused on yourself. That's what you must do. That's what we've all done. That's what I've done. And as you do that, you realize that, wait, it was your energy that the narcissist wanted. It was your time. It was your money. It was your love. It was your empathy. It's the way you walked, the way you talked, the way you laughed, the way you were just being yourself, a kind, loving, stable, healthy person. You see, those are all the things that the narcissist does not possess, but yet they didn't want you to possess those things, so they try to take them from you. That's why when you're in these relationships, you're silenced. You're not yourself. You lose your identity to the narcissist. You become an extension of them. And the next thing you know, you're doing what they want, when you want, and how they want you to do it. But all these things I'm sharing post-relationship now, when the narcissist admits defeat, they're not going to verbalize this. It's going to be in their tiny little pea brain that is going around and around and around in that loop of misery, in that loop of destruction, and in that loop of absolute despair and anxiety. That's when they say to themselves, wait a minute, I had the best thing I've ever had in you, and I blew it, like I blow up every relationship. How do I get back to a person even close to you? Well, number one, that person doesn't exist. Number two, they took their best shot at you and they failed miserably. Number three, they will admit defeat. There will be times when they are in their house or they are in a motel, and they're on the freeway driving 120 miles an hour in a 30-mile-an-hour zone or 60-mile-an-hour zone, because they're always testing the limits and they're not listening to the rules or abiding by the law. And they will be thinking to themselves, wait a minute, how do I ever get something back like that person that I had, which was you? And that person doesn't exist, as I've shared. So they will have to admit defeat in their tiny little brain. And they won't say that I lost, I'm defeated. They will just sugarcoat it and paint it and blame you for doing things you didn't do, you did do, and you should have done or you shouldn't have done, because that's what the narcissist has to do. They're not accountable. They're not going to introspect, and they're not going to take blame or responsibility for anything. So they blame other people. But when they admit defeat, here's the big part of the video. It's when they finally leave you alone. Yes, it's when they finally listen and pay attention to the boundaries and the rules. It's when you stop accepting hoovers. It's when you stop giving them chances. It's when you're no longer thinking about them. It's when you realize that the best thing that ever happened to you was getting out of that relationship, not staying in the toxicity of the relationship. When you do that, that's when you realize, wait a minute, I have so many things going for me. I'm now taking classes. I'm lined up back in school. My health has improved. My bank account's improved. I'm making new friends. I'm falling in love again, perhaps. I'm relocating. I'm traveling. I'm taking a class, teaching a class, reading a book, writing a book. I'm doing all the things I wanted to do that I couldn't do when I was with that toxic person. And you couldn't do those when you're with that person because they didn't want you to be you. And they didn't want you to achieve things that they couldn't do. So they try to keep you down under their thumb. They try to keep you repressed and not believing in anything other than what they told you. When that all goes away, meaning the relationship has ended, there's a huge void that you will have to fill. I had to fill it myself. And for some of us, it takes a certain period of time. Some of us, it takes longer. But the point is, that void can only be filled by one person, and that's you. And when you fill that void with yourself and you understand and you process what narcissism is at its core, and you realize that that person that you loved or perhaps even were in love with never cared about you. The only thing they cared about was what you provided for them. When you wrap your head around that, that void slowly gets to be filled by you. Now, this will take a lot of time, but as you're healing and as you're focusing on yourself, what you are doing is shifting your attention and your energy from the narcissist and the toxicity and all those poor behaviors, etc., back to within yourself. And when you do that, the healing path will catapult you forward. Now, it's all going to start with one person, usually, and that person is the narcissist. Maybe there were multiple narcissists in your life, I can't tell you, but that's where it usually starts, because before you figured out what narcissism was, you didn't know that these people existed. Again, you didn't know anything about this because there was no formal education out there for you to acquire. But now you went to the school. You went to the school of narcissistic abuse, which means you were in a relationship with one or multiple of these people, and now you're out and you're healing. When you do that and you go no contact and have boundaries, etc., that's when everything returns back to you. And it will return back to you 10, 20, 50, 1,000-fold if you stay on the course. You continue to see the light at the end of the tunnel. You continue to focus on yourself. You realize that the narcissist is not the strong one. They are the weak ones. You are the strong one. They wanted to take you and your beautiful, bright, shining light. They also wanted to extinguish it, and they wanted to burn it out, which is what supply is to them. They burn everything out. Example, picture that you are a battery, and you're not. You're a beautiful, bright, shining light, but picture a battery that's fully charged. Well, once the battery gets zapped of all its energy, it's down to zero. Well, what do? We either recharge the battery these days, or we throw them away. Hopefully we don't throw batteries away these days. Can't tell you, but the point being is, in the old days, we used to throw them away. Well, that's what the narcissist does with people. The relationship that narcissists encounter with people, usually those people's battery is topped up. By the end of it, what happens? There's no zap, there's no charge left. You're left a shell of yourself. You're left crumbled up like a sheet of paper on the freeway, thrown away, left to wither away. But that's not what happened to you. That is what happened to so many people before you, but it didn't happen to you because you're in the community. You're paying it forward, you're getting your cup full. And when you realize that the narcissist is the one that will have to admit defeat, that's a great thing. Now, again, I've said this over the years in videos. I'll say it again. I don't wish ill will upon anybody. I never have. I'm not going to start now. I don't wish ill will upon one person. What I do know is this, is that when you are behaving the way you behave, i.e. the way the narcissist behaves, and you're abusing people, you're smearing their name, you're financially abusing them, you're ghosting them, you're gaslighting them, you're doing everything you can to disrupt their energy and to have them not exist, there's a big price to pay for doing that to people. And that price will not come at the hands of me or of you. It's going to come from a higher power way above, way stronger than a mere human being. Now you're getting the wisdom. You understand that this is a battle. It's a battle for your life, for your soul, for your essence, for your heart. It's for everything, for your mindset. This is a spiritual battle. You need to understand that. So when the narcissist admits defeat, they will do that over and over and over again. They're just not going to do it the way you would do it. Example, let's say that you lost a football game, or you lost a soccer game, or you lost a competition, a science project fair, or whatever it was. Well, if you didn't come in first place, you came in whatever place you came in, but did you win? Maybe you didn't. Well, okay, then next year you try harder and maybe you win. Who knows? But you didn't win, and you can admit it. Maybe you came in second place, maybe you came in 30th place, who knows, but you tried. See, that's not what the narcissist does. What the narcissist does is they will never admit that they were defeated, because they always want to blame somebody else. They will never take responsibility or accountability. So fast forward into what I just shared with you. When the narcissist admits defeat, it's going to be in their own little pea brain. They're not going to verbalize it. They're not going to say it to anybody else. They can't. It would be too painful. For them to admit defeat would be the mother of all narcissistic injuries. I don't even think they could recover from that. And you know what? They probably couldn't. So this is why many times I share on the channel and in videos I create that there are times when you were in the relationship with the narcissist, they would disappear off the grid. Where would they go? Sometimes a flea bag motel, and they'd unplug for a few days and blast the old box TV as loud as they could and play their smartphone as loud as they could and disrupt energy and smash things. And well, why do you think they would do that? It's because they can't regulate themselves. And when they don't have a fuel source, i.e. somebody like you, and nobody like you exists, they need to find someone else who can do it, but no one will be able to do it the way you did it. And you can't do it any longer because now you understand what narcissism is at its core, and you can't be involved with these people, nor can I. That's why the path is to maintain no contact, to maintain your boundaries, and realize that you have won. Now in relationships, again, I've shared this throughout the years, I don't look at relationships as winning or losing. I look at relationships as you should have two people in a kind, loving, stable, healthy, reciprocal relationship. And that's what you usually got throughout most of your life with different friendships and colleagues and classmates, etc., and maybe romantic relationships. But then lo and behold, you met the behemoth, the juggernaut, the narcissist, who was wearing a mask to manipulate you. And what they wanted to do was control you, your emotions, who you spent your time with, your money, time, energy, everything. And they knew this because they knew that you were naive. They knew that you were vulnerable. They maybe even knew that you were an empath, who knows, but they knew way before you knew who you were. And when they did this, they sized you up. They got as close to you as they possibly could. And they tried to crush you. They tried to destroy your life, but they couldn't do it because you're here. Now remember, before I close the video, Before you met the narcissist, there were other people that were in the relationship with them in different capacities. Like I said, friend, colleague, romance, who knows? Many of those people never figured out who they were up against, meaning they never figured out what narcissism was, but you did. And what I'm talking about here is you're the wise one, you're the smart one, you're the person who cracked the code and got the needle in a haystack. That's when you realize that the narcissist will never admit defeat. Never in a million years, not to you, not to anybody. But when they're driving on that freeway and the gas tank's running low and their tires are bald and there's all this fast food stuff in their car and they're screaming at themselves and they're beeping their horn and they don't have any money and they don't know where they're going, their smartphone's on zero, this is when they will really have to face the music. It's gonna be when they have to face the facts that, yes, they are the loser and you are the winner. Why would I say that? It's because you got away. No matter how you got away, if you were discarded or you ended it, you're out of it. You're healing or you've healed. The narcissist is stuck in their tiny little brain. They're stuck in that little loop of misery that just keeps going around and around and around. And they can't escape themselves. They can drive a car as fast as they want to. They can jump on a rocket ship to whatever planet exists. They can do whatever they want to. They can play music as loud as they want to. They can have the biggest bank account on the planet. They can't escape their mind. And that is not an excuse, because the narcissist, they are such a master manipulator at abusing people. If they took 1/10 or 1/1,000,000th of that energy and worked on themselves and did the right thing, we'd have a much better planet, but that's not the case. So remember, on the planet, there's good, there's evil. There's light and there's darkness. You know who you are, I know who I am, and believe me, the narcissist knows who they are, and they knew who they were when they met you, long before you knew who you were. But now, before I really get ready to close the video, understand a few things. 1, you are a beautiful, bright, shining light. 2, the narcissist took their best shot at you. 3, they will admit defeat, but not the way you think they will. They will realize and compare their fuel sources, the current or ones in the future, with what you did. And they will triangulate those people and blame them and say you did everything great, although when you're in the relationship, they told you you did nothing right and their former exes did everything great. But this is how the cycle goes around and around and around. That's why when you're out of it, you need to stay out of it. You can't give these people more chances. They will continue to come back to haunt you. They will continue to come back to blame you. They will continue to come back to slither the way into your life to finish you off. It's what they do. That's why you need to maintain boundaries, go no contact, stop feeling sorry for them, realize you can't improve their life, realize you did everything for them when they ended that relationship with you. And remember one thing, what was the look on the face of the narcissist when they discarded you or when they ended it? Was it a loving, kind look? No, it probably wasn't. You probably saw the pitch black beach ball pupils of their eyes, or the smirk, or the grin, or the stare, or maybe they were verbally abusing you, saying, I'll never go back to you. Whatever they said, who knows? But you need to remember that version of them, because that's the real person. It's not the person during the love bomb. That was all fake. That was all charades. It was all games, manipulations. It was all ways to get you stuck in that trapped in that narcissistic fog. And it worked. Until when? That's right, until it didn't. And when it doesn't, that's when you've healed. That's when you're at the mountaintop of indifference, etc. And that's when you realize, yeah, the narcissist will admit defeat, but not the way you would admit defeat when you played a board game or a sporting event. They'll admit defeat in different ways. But keep in mind, they can't regulate themselves, so they will always become unhinged. They will always be overplaying their hand, and they will always be blaming other people. But they can no longer blame you or become unhinged or do anything with you because you're out of the loop and you've relocated, or you have gone off the grid, or you've maintained no contact and continue to do so. So everyone, that's the video. I hope you liked it. I loved doing it from the snowy Carolinas. This is Andrew. Namaste. Have a great afternoon, morning, or evening, no matter where you are on the planet. You are not alone. Remember that. I love you all. You are not alone. And I'll share these few things before I go. 1, the narcissist will admit defeat. Here's a very simple way they do it. When you're divorcing the narcissist, when they finally give in, and they finally, after a year, 2, 3, 5 years, sign those divorce papers, when they finally stop gaming the system, when they finally stop using your children as pawns, when they finally pay the money that they owe you, there are ways right there. That's the narcissist admitting defeat. Now, will they come out and say that? No, they won't. But their actions, if they do what they're supposed to do by the court, they're showing you right there. They admit defeat. You got them. You won. Now, did you want to win? Did you want to go through all those things? Of course not. It was the narcissist who was trying to destroy you in your life and destroy that relationship. You had to do what you had to do to get out of it. You had to do what you had to do to defend yourself. You had to do what you had to do to get what was coming to you, meaning financial resources or custody or whatever it was. So that's one way the narcissist will admit defeat. It's only one way of about 10,000 I could come up with. But I'm going to close this video and let you know that if where you are now is where you want to be, that's a great thing. If where you are now is where you are you don't want to be, well, there's work to be done. And if where you are now is, if where you want to be in the future is not where you are now, well, again, continue to focus on yourself and understand that you can do whatever you want to do on this planet. Anything you want to, anything. You just have to put your mind to it. And you need to kick the narcissist to the curb. Stop giving them chances. Maintain no contact. Don't think they can change. Don't help them out. Don't lift a finger to do anything for them. And realize that these people, if you give them one more opportunity, they will not only kick you when you're down, they will try to finish you off. That's why you must get the message. The narcissist, if they're out of your life, they've already admitted defeat, and they know it, and you know it, and I certainly know it. And the path to abundance does not include a ball and chain around your ankles, which is the narcissistic relationship. Cut all the ties, all 4 ties, the financial tie, the emotional tie, the physical tie, and the spiritual tie, and begin living your best life. So that's the video. It's been beautiful. I expect the snow to be gone tomorrow or the next day or so, but I had so much fun this last few days in the snow. I hope you guys are doing great wherever you are. I'm going to send you a huge heart and a big virtual hug. God bless you all. I love you, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye, everybody. Yeah.